Hey guys, it's Farmer Jay. Today I'm out in my yard. I'm going to be harvesting some weeds and I thought I'd bring you along and show you what I'm harvesting. This is not going to be a super detailed ID video, but you should get enough information from what I'm showing you to be able to look around your yard and see if you think you have some of these plants. If so, I encourage you to look them up online, do some more research, get a positive ID, and then use them. There's a lot of healthy greens growing right now in people's yards, and they think they're weeds. They're really not taking advantage of the nutrients of the food that is just growing in their yard, probably annoying them. But there are big fat bumblebees all over the place because there's stuff flying right now, so you might hear them buzzing around. But so I'm going to find my first one. I think we're probably going to start with some purple dead nettle. I've got a basket, I've got some scissors. Yes, they are kids' craft scissors. That's what I could find. My kids take my scissors a lot, so let's go. Here we have a patch of purple dead nettle. Now, it's dead nettle because it doesn't have any of those stingy little pricklers that stinging nettle has. I am going to be harvesting this today and I am going to be drying it to use as a tea later. I am also going to be freezing some to use in smoothies, and I am debating making a weeds pesto. I've never made pesto before. It could be fun. What do you think? Should I make pesto? Leave a comment below. So to harvest these, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut them like that. Get them in my basket. Very, very easy. I have a lot growing in my yard. These are a good first food for the pollinators. However, I have a ton of it, lots of patches. I'm not going to be stripping an area so that the pollinators don't have anything, which is something you want to be really careful of. But I have a lot here, so it's going to be totally fine. Okay, so I've got my purple dead nettle. This is about as much as it's going to take to fill my dehydrator tray, and that was what I was aiming for today. So I'm going to take this inside and then come back out and start on the next plant. Weed. Okay, I wanted to show you guys just really quickly why this is called purple dead nettle. Do you see the purple top on there? That's why. A lot of them will have a purple top. Some of them won't, as you can see from this. But they are both purple dead nettle. Okay, so the next plant on my list is henbit. A lot of people seem to have trouble distinguishing between henbit and dead nettle. I've even seen some websites say that henbit and dead nettle are the same thing. They're not. Here is a great example, guys. Can you see this? That is dead nettle, and this is henbit. You see how they do look quite different from each other, but they often grow together. I'll have patches in my yard that it's a complete mix of the two, usually with some chickweed thrown in there for good measure. So quite often they do come up together, but if you just kind of get used to seeing them and just kind of knowing which one's which, it's super easy to identify them. So while they do look similar in the fact that their flowers are kind of the same color and their flowers look the same, the leaves actually look very, very different from each other. So IDing them is pretty easy. And the good news is it's okay if you have trouble identifying your dead nettle from your henbit, because they're both edible and it's not a big deal if you one or the other. But it is nice to know which is which, because dead nettle is said to have some of the same medicinal properties as stinging nettle, as far as like drinking tea to help with allergies and things like that. We have a lot of henbit in our yard. We literally have just like carpets of it. It almost looks like how moss covers things. All these little bitty things, all these right here, this is all henbit. Okay, I have got my henbit. I'm gonna go drop this off inside and then come back out and find the next weed. Now, I did not come out to harvest plantain today, but I definitely wanted to include it in this video. So there's multiple varieties of plantain. This is a broadleaf plantain. There is a narrowleaf plantain. Later in the season, these will shoot up little stalks that have little heads on them that have like little bitty flowers and things. This is not one that I would harvest to eat. If it was early in the spring and it was just baby little, perhaps. This is more, in my mind, this is more of a medicinal thing. This is great to put on spider bites, bug bites, things like that. It will pull out the impurities and things. So when I harvest this, I usually dry it and I keep it to use to make salves. You could freeze it for the same purpose, I suppose, but I usually dry it. But you can also just pick this up and chew it in your mouth up to basically like a paste. You want it to just be juicy and releasing all of its lovely properties, and you can just slap that right on things. We did it as a kid. My mom has done it to spider bites and had really good results. So plantain is amazing. Looks like this. We have a ton of it in our yard, all these patches of plantain. It's everywhere. All in here too. So yeah, all that plantain. It is a wonderful nature's medicine. So if you have some of that, you should probably research it, look it up. It can be a real blessing to have in your yard. Another wonderful weed that I am not harvesting today are these lovely dandelions. Ours are really just starting to come up, and so I want to wait until we have a lot of them before I take any. These are edible. You can eat the flowers, you can eat the greens. One of our friends liked to come over. We had a ton of them at our last house. Like the whole yard was yellow every spring. She would come over and we'd pick them with her, and she would take the petals and she would make dandelion jelly, and she would make my kids dandelion cookies as a thank you for helping pick them. So dandelions are amazing. I know a lot of people think they're weed. Not only do I think that they're beautiful flowers, they just look like sunshine. So I really love them. They actually do have a lot of good health properties if you eat them. They're definitely a little bit more on the bitter side, in my opinion. Getting the greens when they're really little helps. And you can gather the root also, and that is really good to have. You can dry it and powder it or tincture it. Sorry, my cat is over here. Hey, Spider. Want to come say hi? How you doing? And there's some more dandelions. But so dandelions are one of the bees and the pollinators' first food in the spring, so definitely don't take all of them. But don't spray them, because when the bees eat them, then they get that pesticide, that poison, and it's really bad for them. And we need our bees. We need our bees. We need them to be healthy so that we have food. So I encourage you to not look at these as an obnoxious weed. They're beautiful. They're edible. You know, if you're in a situation where you didn't have access to food, you'd be really grateful to have a bunch of these in your yard. While I was out here, I noticed I've got some of the narrow leaf plantain over here. I don't, sorry about the cat. Spider, stop it. Stop it. You're such a bum. Look at you. Anyway, so narrow leaf plantain. The other plant I was coming out here today to find is chickweed, and here's some right here. Now my chickens love chickweed. They love it more than I think any other spring green going on right now. So I have a really hard time finding any because they eat it so quick, and the only reason I have this little bit that I have spread out throughout in here is because it's in an enclosed, fenced-in area that they can't get to, or I'm sure that they would have decimated this. So this is chickweed right here. It has little bitty, here's one, little bitty white, my camera will focus, little bitty white star looking flowers, and it is really lovely. It is a very mild flavor. It supposedly makes wonderful pesto, so I really don't want to try making a pesto. It is very cooling, and it is good to freeze so that you can have it to make poultices with and things like that. Have it to add to smoothies, make pestos. You can dry it. It doesn't dry as well. I'm still going to try to dry some if I can find enough. I don't know if I can. But if you have some of this chickweed, do not lose out. Take advantage. Get some, freeze it, make pesto, eat it. It's a good herbal tea. There's a lot of health benefits to chickweed. If you want to go look those up, I encourage you to. It's a really wonderful plant. And this little one right here, this is cleavers. It's called Nature's Velcro. My hand, like, I don't know if you can see it, but as I'm pulling away, it kind of sticks to it. These will stick on your clothes, these will catch you as you walk by, but this is another one that if you have this in your yard, please take the time to look it up. This is beneficial. You want to know how to use this, and you want to know how to harvest it and store it. So before you go and you mow it all down, I really encourage you guys to go check out what you've got in your yard. I bet you have a lot of really cool things that you didn't know that you had. If you're not getting things like this out of your yard, if you're getting them from somewhere else, you know, someone's field that they let you check, someone else's yard, etc., please make sure you know if it has been sprayed or not. You don't want to be harvesting things that have had pesticides sprayed on them. So getting them from somewhere like a public park, I don't recommend, because you don't know if they've been sprayed, and more likely than not they have been sprayed. So just always be careful when you are harvesting somewhere that you're really not sure if they've been sprayed or not, because you don't want to be ingesting all of those pesticides. I didn't find as much chickweed as I was hoping to find, so I'm probably not going to bother with drying it. I'm going to freeze what I got, and I'm hoping I can keep coming out and collecting more. I didn't want to decimate the whole patch, but I'm going to check the pasture more thoroughly and see if I can find some more. So right now, the final thing that I'm coming out to pick are violets, wild violets, not to be confused with African violets, which you should not eat. But wild violets are beautiful. We have multiple big patches, so I'm comfortable taking plenty of them. They are amazing. You can sugar violets, you can use them for your health, you can add them to salads just to look pretty, you can freeze them in ice cubes to put in punch bowls. They have so many possible uses. They're awesome. Make sure you don't take all of them. Again, you don't want to ever strip an area of any of these things that you're harvesting. You want to make sure that there's enough left for the wildlife and the insects that depend on them. But if you have them, totally take advantage. They are amazing. This is just one of the patches of violets that we have in our yard. You can see there's quite a few. They're very, very pretty. I made my son not mow over here the other day, and he looked at me like I was crazy. So as you saw, there are lots of edibles in the yard in the springtime. I didn't even get to all of them. There's also multiple kinds of dock growing in my yard. That is wonderful. So if you guys enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do a summer edition here in a few months. So I hope you guys take advantage of the bounty that is in your yard, in your pasture, in your neighbor's yard, if they'll let you. And I hope that you will kind of broaden your horizons a little bit. Maybe start looking at those things that you think you need to spray and kill in the spring. Maybe start looking at those as food and nutrition for you. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful spring, getting lots of stuff planted if you are gardening. If you're not gardening, I hope maybe you'll give it a try. Even just a little potted something on your windowsill can bring so much joy and contentment and peace. I'm gonna go get my children and my chickens fed, so I hope you guys are having a great week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.